Okay, fine. It was the middle of summer now. The mares are pregnant, and it is hotter than a half-fucked fox in a forest fire. With the farm being secluded, Carla usually wore nothing more than a bathing suit. At times, she would turn on a sprinkler for the horses to cool themselves. Sometimes she would join in. Keeping the horses separated, she would spray the mares down first, then the stallions. When Carla went to this is riddled with typos. When Carla went to water down the stallions, one of them was happy enough to lay down in the shade under the stable awning. Sometimes he noticed she likes to do. The others always came over. The other horses she liked to get along with, but this one was special. This one she had a bond with. Carla named this one Whispers because he was quiet and hardly ever made a noise of any kind other than a grunt or a neigh once in a blue moon. Next page. One hot day, Carla was brushing Whispers. When she moved around to the underside of them, she noticed his sheath. It looked like it was going to burst. Wondering if something was wrong, Carla touched it. Slowly, the penis slid out of its rubbery covering. This was the first time that she was this close to a horse's cock out of its sheath, inches from her face. This made her flash back to when the horses were mating. Thinking about that made Carla horny. Wicked thoughts started to race through Carla's mind. When she looked back at the horse, she realized that she was slowly stroking his penis. Carla couldn't get her hand around it. The size of her made her think of that dildo she had back at the house. Carla was getting too horny. Didn't feel like she was going back into the house. What the heck, Carla thought, and started licking the horse's cock. She would lick along the shaft and end up at the head. With her mouth over top, she would stick her tongue in the piss hole. Carla would pull her mouse off the long string of pre-cum and would run her tongue, which she sucked up and swallowed. Carla's tongue made its way to his balls. They were big as watermelons. They felt spongy with two hard centers. Carla would lick from one end of the room to the other end of the house, and then she started licking upwards towards the horse's anus. Carla would lick around the hole, then slowly stick her tongue inside, seeing what his reaction would be. Whispers responded by lifting his tail out of the way, inviting her to do more. Carla couldn't believe what she was doing, but kept doing it nonetheless. She tongued his hole for a long time. At first, his ass was a little bitter, but that soup gave way to bland, slightly salty-tasting goo. Carla loved it. When her tongue couldn't reach any further, she stuck in two of her fingers. The response from the horse was to push back slightly. Carla, sensing that Whispers wanted more, added another finger, and another, until her hand disappeared into the horse's anus. Whispers made an unexpected move backwards, sinking Carla's hand almost up to her shoulder, and he still wanted more. Next page. There was a cart that had a platform on it that she came up to about ass level with the horse that was a few feet from where they were standing. Carla had an idea. If the horse wanted more, then he would get more, all he could take. Carla secured the cart so it wouldn't move. She brought Whispers over to the cart and backed him up to it. Carla was very horny, hot, and sweaty by now. She pulled off her bathing suit and flung it off to the side. She grabbed a blanket that was near the door in the stall and hopped on the cart. She spread the blanket out on the edge of the cart near the horse and sat down near the edge. Carla then started to massage the butt crack of the horse with her foot. Whispers responded by raising his tail. Then she found his anus with her big toe and was rubbing it along the opening. From having her arm inside a short time earlier, the horse's anus was very slippery. Whispers was enjoying this feeling and started to push backwards as before. Carla continued to rub her feet in the ass until she felt her foot slip inside his anus. The feeling was incredible, for both of them. Inside his ass it felt hot and soft. This set Carla on her first orgasm, on sight alone of her foot in the horse's anus. Whispers kept pushing back until she had her leg past the knee joint. Carla started to move her leg in and out, but Whispers wanted more and continued to push backwards. Next page. As this continued, it seemed as if Whisper's ass was getting bigger. Carla pulled her leg out and inserted the other one. Her one leg was coated with a milky-colored, slippery slime. She scooped some off with a finger and then ate some of it. It tasted good. She wanted to lick her leg clean, but that would have to come later. Carla then pulled her leg out of her horse. She then put both her feet together, overlapping each other, and placed them at the entrance to Whisper's insides. Moving her feet slowly up and down, Whispers pushed back. With little effort, Carla's feet slid in. As the horse was getting used to the change in size, he would push back. Then Whisper started to rock on and off Carla's legs, taking a little more each time he went back. Before long, both of Carla's legs were up into her knees. All this activity was causing Carla to have orgasm after orgasm. To Carla's surprise, Whispers kept pushing backwards. Carla was sitting on the edge of the cart, but then she picked her ass off the end and pushed towards the horse. Whispers moved forward slightly, which caused Carla to be supported by the horse at one end and her shoulders on the edge of the cart. Carla was about to pull herself out, thinking that Whispers had enough. That's when he started to move backwards again. All Carla could do at this point was to hold the edge of the cart. Whispers kept slowly pushing backwards, his anus now stretched up to her knees. As he continued to push, he had her into her thighs. Carla's body began sweating and made it slippery. Whispers pushed back in a series of small jerks. Each time he jerked, a little more of Carla inched in. After a few minutes, Carla was into the bottom of her butt. She then rocketed through another orgasm, each more powerful than the last. Carla moved her legs a little inside her four-legged lover, thus causing him to make a final lunge backwards, which put Carla up in the horse's anus up to her waist. Whispers then moved forward, pulling Carla off the platform. She was now supported entirely by her horse's ass. The hourglass curve and size of her ass kept her from slipping out of her lover's gripping anus. After what seemed like hours, Carla felt a pushing from inside the horse. She could feel his anus clenching and releasing around her, nearly making her lose her breath. Whispers was having his first anal orgasm. As the spasms increased, so did the pressure that was pushing on Carla. With a loud snort and a short neigh, Whispers pushed Carla from his ass. End part 1.